right, folks, here we go. Reason number 16 that LeBron James is the GOAT, the greatest basketball player there's ever been. Like I said, this question has been solved for me for roughly probably 8 years or so. What are we, 26? Yeah, so since about 2018. I thought it was over at that point. But you can see, it's just that LeBron James is better at basketball than Michael Jordan. He does way more things. He affects games way more. He's more valuable. And we'll go into some of that later as well. But reason number 16, and you'll never hear this from anybody else, and you've never heard it from anybody else. A lot of these you'll have never heard from anybody else, okay? So reason number 16 that LeBron James is the GOAT is that Michael Jordan was the luckiest all-time superstar in NBA history. Yeah, I said it. Let me repeat that. And I don't even believe in luck, but I have to say it just because it makes more impact. Anyway, Michael Jordan is the luckiest NBA all-time superstar ever. Okay, let me explain. So first, people do not give Jerry Krause any credit for putting together the team he put together. Okay? What we know about Michael Jordan is that he has to be a volume shooter on any team he's on, except for Dean Smith's teams. But as an NBA player, he has to be a volume shooter in order to be great. That's how he impacts games, right? Score a bunch of buckets and do it in a timely fashion, play great defense. That's Michael Jordan's greatness. But what we also can infer is that Michael Jordan could not exist without being that guy on another team. Or he couldn't win without being that guy on another team. So the genius of Jerry Krause is that he put together the perfect type of team that Michael Jordan needed. It's kind of similar to Allen Iverson when he took the Sixers to the NBA Finals with seemingly no talent whatsoever. But what happened was Allen Iverson, a volume shooter, can only really affect winning by being a volume shooter. That's who he is. So what they had to do was put a bunch of guys around him who complemented him. A bunch of guys who could play defense, didn't need shots, weren't worried about numbers, and didn't care that Allen Iverson was getting all the glory. So that's what they did. They put a bunch of defensive-minded, Aaron McKee was kind of a shooter, but he scored when he needed to. But everybody around them was geared towards Allen Iverson's talents. They didn't have any other volume shooters on the team. They had people who had special sets of skills on that team. That's how Allen Iverson could be successful. That was the only team that he was on ever that did anything, because that team was perfectly crafted towards what he does, which is score in bunches. Okay. So before Allen Iverson, that's what Jerry Krause did. He specifically crafted a team, perfectly tailored, and even they got lucky because the first stroke of brilliance, I would say, well, let's not say that. Let's go the first thing that they did, which was not really a big thing back then, was they kept Michael Jordan, literally kept him at all times of their winning with either the first or top 5 3-point shooters in the league. Okay, so they started out, Michael got there, and I think they had Jim Paxson on there, who was a great 3-point shooter. Great spot up. And when I say great 3-point shooter, I mean spot up guys. Guys who receive the pass, knock them down, right? I don't consider Larry Bird a spot up guy, even though he was an amazing 3-point shooter. But he was a spot up guy, but he was also a guy who could do it off the dribble. But I'm talking about spot up guys that don't typically do it off the dribble. They get passes and knock them down. Well, the Bulls, in their crafting genius, made sure Michael Jordan had floor spacers around them of greatness. Okay, so they had Jim Paxson already on the team. Then they went out and got Craig Hodges. Now, people don't realize how great a 3-point shooter Craig Hodges was. There was a time where Craig Hodges, probably for about 5 or 6 years, he was the best 3-point shooter in the NBA. Let me maybe try and pull up some of his stats here. So yeah, before he got to the Bulls, so these are Craig Hodges' stats right here. Okay, even before he got to the Bulls, look what he shot. Look what his field goal percentage was from 3-point. Okay, so when he was on the Bucks, I think he led the NBA. So look at that. So 3-point field goal percentage. Okay, where are we? 34.8 there, right? Then 45%. Think about how good 45% from three is. And the 3-point line was further back. Okay, then he went to 37.3. Then he bumped up to 54, bro. 54% 3-point shooter. Craig Hodges, there's this period from I would say 85 probably through maybe 90. Craig Hodges was probably the best 3-point shooter in the league. Okay? So, and he won a bunch of 3-point competitions as well. I think he fell off this year, but mainly look at him. Look at the numbers: 45, 37, 54, 46, 48, and 90. Okay, when the Bulls beat the Lakers, and I'll get to that in a minute. Okay, but then, and he already had Paxson there. Paxson was there most of Jordan's time. But after they got rid of Hodges, who did they bring on? Well, they brought on a guy named Steve Kerr. Okay. And I think that was kind of during the Bulls' second run. Let me see. So he got on the Bulls 93, 94. Yep. So during the second run. Okay. And look at his 3-point numbers. Okay. I would say out of probably in history of the league, these two guys are top 10 guys from spot up shooting from 3-point that you would pick all time. I'm talking about spot up shooters. Not people who do it off the dribble, but just spot up shooters. Guys that you would want on your team when you need to pass it to them and you know they're going to knock it down. Steve Kerr, Craig Hodges, and Jim Paxson. Okay, but I think Paxson wasn't as good as the two, but he always had two on the team to space the floor. And because the 3-point line was so far back, they had more space to work. And they tell you guys, oh, it was so tough back then. You have more space to work if you got two 3-point shooters on your team at all times. Two great ones that people had to cover. But look at his percentages. Look at this. So 93, 94 is at 42%. 52, 51, 46, 44, 51% from three, bro. Like, okay, so that's the first thing. The management of the Bulls crafted a perfect team for this guy. I'm not done because I'm going to tell you. So the second, so the next thing I'm going to say is they got the most perfect player for Michael Jordan that they could have gotten anytime in the history of the NBA. Scottie Pippen is probably the only player that could play at a 10 out of 10 level, being a Robin, quote unquote, to Batman being amazing passer, amazing rebounder, amazing. Scottie brought the ball up. Okay, they didn't really have a point guard. Scottie brought the ball up, and then Scottie was the best defensive player on the team. Okay, and I'll get to that in a minute. But he was better than Mike as a defender, and I'll talk to you guys about that in a minute. But also though, Scottie played a 10 out of 10 as the second fiddle. Who in the history of the NBA would have been better at that role than Scottie Pippen? Nobody. Nobody. He could play whatever was needed. Scottie could do it. And as a defensive duo, they were just the most dominant defensive duo in the league. And Jordan got him for 10 freaking years. Imagine getting, and I will tell you this, there's a possibility that they had the best two players in the NBA for about 5 or 6 years. Scottie was that freaking good. Okay, and now taking out the centers, maybe Akeem in there, and Charles won some MVPs, but as far as a game changer, a defensive stalwart, Charles wasn't that kind of game changing player. Okay, but I'm gonna get to how great Scotty was. But think about it. So Jordan had Scotty for 10 freaking seasons, the best possible player. Like that role, like nobody else who's an all-time great player could have played that role. Think about it. Who in the top 50, NBA top 50, would have been able to play alongside of Michael Jordan and be as great as Michael Jordan in your role? Nobody. There's no one you can think of. No one that would be willing or would have been able to accept kind of a second billing, although being first billing in his role. So that's the second fortune. Like I don't even think that they knew what they were getting when they drafted Scotty, but they knew enough to draft him. Okay, so that's the second amazing uh fortunate stroke. We're still talking about them putting the team together. So then they just put the team together with other guys that were willing to sacrifice. Horace Grant, great defensive player, great defensive forward, but he could also shoot, but he had to sacrifice to make his team win. Okay. And then they went out and got Dennis Rodman. They got perfect people for the job. Bill Wennington, Bill Cartwright, bigs who didn't need the ball, who were just in there to clog stuff up and get occasional dunks here and there. That the crafting of that team was absolutely masterful, and nobody ever gives Jerry Krause any credit. They also had B.J. Armstrong. B.J. Armstrong, I think there were some years where he was shooting above 44%, 43, 44% from three, and he served a perfect role when he was there. You know, he brought the ball up too. He helped. So, but he wasn't an ego guy, and he was willing to play his role. Like, so all of the guys that they brought in around Mike when they started winning was masterful because they fit around Mike, so he could be a volume shooter, but they could have everybody else be at a 10 out of 10 in their roles. So, but not only that, he got the guy because Scotty also had a terrible contract. So he had to stick around longer than he wanted to because he started getting angry at the end of his term. But also he got Phil Jackson for a decade. Okay, now nobody knew at that time, but they called Phil Jackson at this point the greatest NBA coach of all time. Period. Okay, so they didn't win before Phil Jackson got there. They definitely didn't win before Scotty got there. But they did win when Mike left and Scotty was still there, but we'll get to that in a minute. So the crafting of that team was so masterful. But not only that, in terms of Jordan being lucky, because the crafting of the team, like I said, Jerry Krause gets no freaking credit. All he gets credit for is Jordan leaving. That's it. But nobody gives them credit for how amazingly well they put that team together. So they got Horace Grant, who was really a great player who was willing to sacrifice. I mean, they crafted that team perfectly well, and they had those freaking shooters. Like before it was in vogue, they had the best shooters, best spot up shooters in the league, and they had two of them on their team to give Scotty and Jordan space to maneuver at a time where everybody thought the league was so tough and it was all clogged up and blah blah blah. No, they had a perfectly crafted team around a volume shooter because Mike really has never won without being a volume shooter. So they needed to put a team around him that could do that because Michael Jordan proved that he couldn't win anywhere else. He couldn't win without Scotty. He couldn't win without Phil. So in addition to that, in terms of the luck, okay, their first title, they played my Lakers in 90, I think it was the 90 season, 90, 91 maybe. And guess what? It just so happened that James Worthy, who was the second best player on the team, got hurt in that series, and Byron Scott was out during that series. So another stroke of luck. And to highlight that, and we may even come back to this again, but the first game of the series, the Lakers won. Guess who was sticking Magic Johnson the first game of the series? Oh, Michael Jordan. Magic was giving Jordan the blues. He was taking them to the post. He was passing out. The Lakers beat them the first game. So guess what they had to do? They had to switch Jordan off of Magic because Magic was giving him the business and put the best defensive player on the Bulls on Magic, and that completely changed the series. And they won the next 4 games. Okay, so So, like I've said before, Michael Jordan was Scottie Pippen away from having no titles.
So here we are in the finals. You guys against the Bulls. Game 1, you guys lose, 107-90. Game 2, you guys lose again, 92-88. Game 3, another loss, 108-86. Did you feel like that George Karl was trying to keep you away from Jordan during those first few games and then switched it up like halfway through, or how do you view it?
I think that he was trying to preserve me because I was hurt. I had a torn calf during the thing. I tore my calf against Utah in the Western Conference Finals.
Right.
So it was one of them things, and then when Game 4 came, we were down 0-3. I was like, yo, look, just let me guard him. It is what it is. Let me slow him down, and then we can get everybody in a rhythm. And then when I slow him down, don't worry about me. I'll figure it out.
Another defensive adjustment. Defensive Player of the Year, Gary Payton, will start the game guarding Michael Jordan. That's a matchup many have wanted to see this entire series.
Hourly to diffuse the crowd. Crowd very much into it right here. Payton from three-point.
Stability. He's getting the ball so deep. Harper had to come down to double team and let Payton open once again.
The call against Chicago. Offensive foul on Michael Jordan for using the right arm.
Jordan trying to post up here. The great ones, Jabbar, Bird, McHale, Magic.
He nails one and then an off-the-ball foul.
And the Sonics have taken the lead for the first time since the end of the second quarter in Game 2. Jordan's shot blocked. You all right? And here is Gary Payton from downtown.
Keep him in the chest area. Everything down in the torso is totally legal.
Oh, the steal by Bukowski.
Happened in this series. Sonics have turned it over more than they've generated assists.
Seattle. McMillan, Payton, Wingate, Perkins, Trent. Nice.
Turnover for Chicago already in the game. A big key for Seattle and why they're playing well and winning. Only one turnover.
Opening minute, second quarter. Nice pass. From points by the Sonics in the midst of another run. Payton for three. Yes.
Gary Payton finally having that breakout game that they've needed from him from Game 1.
To risk their offense, and it has not been good when that's happened.
Sonics for the game shooting 57%. They double up on Jordan. Pippen for three.
You see the closeout defense by Seattle that time. That's the mark of their... Oh, boy.
Wow. And that has been the mark of the Sonics here tonight, beating the Bulls down court. And Payton fed it up for Kemp. Sonics lead 103-81. Pippen for three. And the foul was called on Payton. We're down to 3:35 to go. Fourth quarter. Here is Jordan. Whoa, it is one of those nights for Michael. He is now 6 for 19 from the field.
And he just looked at referee Bill Oakes, and I think he said to him, "Do you believe that shot?" I think he is happy to get to the bench right now and gear up for Friday night.
And nowhere has the turnaround been more evident than the play of Gary Payton, who's outplayed Michael Jordan the last two games, and George Karl will rue the early decision to hide and protect Payton from the king.
Into it during the playing and singing of the national anthem. They began the chant early on during the singing of the anthem. Here is Harper blocked by Payton. So he's played very well the last two games. Jordan lost. And he had to chase Gary Payton around at the other end of the court. Off the steal. And taken back by Payton. Payton for Kemp. 20 remaining in this opening quarter. Marv Albert, Matt Dukas, and Bill Walton. Marv Rashad, Hannah Storm working the sidelines. Payton. Yes. For Gary Payton. Payton, met by Scottie Pippen. Yes, field goal for the Bulls in losing the 2 in Seattle. It's their first back-to-back defeat since last February when they lost it in Denver and in Phoenix. Here's Payton again off the spin. What a move by Payton, and the Bulls again lead by 2. The Bulls have not lost 3 straight since January of 1995. They lost 4 in a row during that stretch, but Michael Jordan was in the midst.
So when he did that, I slowed him down. You know what I'm saying? And that's all we had. We knew we couldn't stop him. We just had to slow him down. We had to make other players do what they had to do. And that's when Pippen and Kukoc picked it up. But I slowed him down. And we won the next 2 games.
Right. You won game 4 and game 5.
Yeah.
And, I mean, during that time, Jordan had his lowest output in a finals game, 23 points, mostly because of you.
I just made him, Rod, I made it difficult for him. I didn't let him be comfortable. They were comfortable in their triangle, and I made it uncomfortable for him. And then that's when Phil started understanding that, we're not going to battle against him. Just take it to the side, let Pippen do the thing, and Mike got mad. He got mad about it. But there, it was what Phil needed to do. And then he wanted to guard me, but I was posting him up a lot, and I was getting things done. And then he put Scottie on me. And Scottie was bigger, so I couldn't post no more. So I had to bring it out, and it changed the whole environment of the game. And it was a good move by Phil, but Michael didn't like it. He didn't appreciate it because he wanted to take the challenge.
Yeah, I mean, after one of the games, when someone mentioned that, you were stopping him, he said, "No one can stop me. I can only stop myself. I missed some easy shots." Which is what he's supposed to say,
what
right?
He's supposed to say.
Right.
Yeah, that's what he's supposed to say. Even with the document, when it came out, and he laughed. It heckled.
Right. At the last dance, when you spoke, he kind of laughed at what you said.
Yeah, I didn't care about that because that's what he's supposed to say. Because it's his doc, it's his thing. I wouldn't even respect him if he would have said, I stopped him or whatever. Because that's not what he's supposed to say because he's Michael Jordan. So that's just nothing but respect. And I respect him for doing that. I didn't have no problems with it.
Just get that. Okay. Horace Grant, underrated. And the team stayed together, right? Like now, obviously, it doesn't work like that. Teams don't stay together for this long. Free agency was just kind of getting going at that time, so they could actually pick up players like Dennis Rodman and like Tony Kukoc at that time. But teams did stay together longer, so he had Phil Jackson and Scottie for 10 years, right? Nowadays, nobody stays together for 10 years. Okay, so Michael Jordan, nobody wants to admit it. Nobody ever wants to say it. But Michael Jordan, based on all of those factors, like his first title, his team, and he didn't beat any juggernaut, like he didn't beat any all-time great teams in the finals. Okay, Michael Jordan, there's a story. Do I want to say this now? So there's a story that I heard from I'll save it to later. But the Bulls were the best team every time they played in the finals. That's why they have a 6-0 record. Okay. Jordan, if it weren't for all of those things that I listed, he would have far less finals wins if any one of those was different. And if Scottie Pippen never showed up, guess what? He would have 0 championships. Okay, because you have to have a perfect team to put around Jordan because he's going to shoot indiscriminately. Although he was amazing, he was probably the best person at just shooting volume, but he was amazing at it. But you have to have a perfectly crafted team to put around a guy like that in order to win. Okay, so once again, number 16, Jordan was the luckiest all-time great player ever. Okay. I'll reiterate. The crafting of the team was perfect for him. Okay. Scottie Pippen, the 3-point shooters, the role players, Horace Grant and Cartwright, people who didn't need the ball, B.J. Armstrong. The role players were perfect to put around a guy like Michael Jordan. The fact that he was able to have these guys for 10 years. Okay. The fact that Scottie Pippen was the best possible in the history of the NBA. Scottie Pippen was the best possible person that could have been put in that role. Okay. What else? I guess that's it. But anyway, so you have my point. Jordan was the luckiest all-time great player ever.